performance Friday night. Great job all the way around. I really want to take a minute, to thank all of our support staff, event management, marketing, Brian Parr, all the guys that helped set up and break down. In my 13 years here, that was far and away the most successful season from an event management, marketing, ticket sales. We made changes on the fly to the arena and were able to increase some fan experience stuff as we went, and just everything was seamless. So just very grateful for the support that we have from our extended support staff and what they have helped us create in terms of the environment that has led to us again leading the nation in attendance and selling out 4 of the 5 competitions this year, and just stuff that's unprecedented and stuff that we should sometimes pause and be grateful for and smell the roses. I told our whole staff that sometimes you create a monster like this and you get bogged down in the weeds of what's not going well all the time, and sometimes you need to breathe and look around and think about how far we've come and how great things really are and the kind of support that we do have here. So I'm grateful for all those people. I told them this morning, we get to the end of the season, I'm gonna buy them a beer, but just really grateful for everything that has happened this year. Oh, we got to do the gratuitous. They're not paying. Coke don't pay me. Don't I?
They clip everything out of these pressers now, so be careful.
Yeah.
To that extent, you guys have kind of grown the game to the point now that I guess I have 2 questions. Do you feel like I was in the arena on Friday and I felt like fans were waiting for the scores more, and then they were also booing the scores more. So like it's more like a true, like a sporting event.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think locally, at least, I think we, over the years, I think our first sellout was 2015, somewhere in that time frame, and I think since then our fans have become more and more educated about what they see, and they don't know all the nuance and the things that are detail oriented, but they have an appreciation for excellence and they can recognize it now, and so you see those reactions. I think you mentioned those reactions, but I think our fans do a good job of being exceptionally respectful to opponents. I think our event management has a lot to do with that, just from the way we bring the volume down for beam music, as make it a little more background, and we bring it up for floor music, and those are little things that are details that you don't experience everywhere you go, and so I'm very proud of the environment that we have, and it has to do with those people I already mentioned, and it also has to do with the fans being engaged over a long period of time and understanding more and more about what it is they're watching, and they have an appreciation for the opponents when they do well too, and so that's the kind of environment we want to have here, and I'm very proud of what has been built here.
I asked this question not at all to detract from y'all's score Friday, which was impressive, but it looks like scoring around the country is loosening up as the season goes on. Is that your impression?
I did. All of a sudden we did see a spike. There's no getting around that. There's 2 facets to that. I mean, logically, you would assume that good teams get better as they go, and so you should expect to see some escalation. Big precipitous kind of spikes or valleys or things, the kind of stuff that we saw early on with just this erratic sort of pendulum swing back and forth is the stuff that's more concerning to me than a steady escalation, because teams should, if they're healthy and things are progressing, they should get better with their execution as they go, and if there's consistency, then you should see some of that reflected in scoring. I do think senior nights that traditionally over the years can get people get excited, and you know, sometimes scores fly on senior nights, not just here, everywhere. I mean, you see it everywhere. But you know, I don't know that it's. I mean, we still, if you look at kind of averages across the board, it's not what it was. So so it's still a little bit subdued, at least on the top end.
Score-wise, it seemed like something really clicked with all 4 events on Friday. So do you think that's more of a thing with the lineups, or do you think it's something else?
Yeah, I mean, I do. When we start on vault, and KJ starts us that way, KJ is super important, and not having her on floor has hurt us this year, you know, because we've not been able to get her ankle to a place where she felt she could do that, and every time we'd get going, we'd have another setback with her ankle. But having her start us the way that she does on vault, it frees everybody up. It just, and I think that's a big thing. I think all those first up kids play a tremendous role. Lexi's Ice has turned into a very, very, very consistent lead off on bars. We all know you know it's been much chronicled about Sierra's leadoff role that she has played, and so I think those roles on every event are extremely important to the ability to capture momentum and then run with it a little bit. And you know, there's been a couple of meets this year where we've done a really good job of that, and that was one of them.
I know you like to not put pressure on, deflect pressure on the gymnasts, but Kaylin Chio's numbers this year, she's one of the best gymnasts in the country.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
She's been tremendous, not just as a freshman, she's one of the best in the country.
Sure.
As you go into this last meet, which is very big for the regular season title and then the postseason meets, do you want to, you know, work on her mental approach or anything like that, or from what you've seen from her week in, week out, and in the gym, you feel like she's going to be able to handle these bigger and bigger meets?
Yeah, I'm extremely confident in her, and she's proven she's just a great competitor. You know, it was cool. You know, I had a little bit of a moment with her after the seniors were recognized, and the rest of the team is over there crying and everything, and she came over, and you know, I said, just walk with me a second, and I had her look around, and I said, take note of this, because this doesn't happen because of the scores they got. This happens because of how these seniors have represented this university, and the people that they are, and the time that they take with their fans, and those kinds of things. And just reminded her that as a freshman, you don't always know those things, and you come in, and she's an unbelievable gymnastic competitor, but you know, along with that comes a responsibility to kind of take up the mantle of the attributes that these seniors have exhibited along the way, and continue to grow in terms of your leadership and being a great teammate. But as far as her competitive experience, no, I'm not concerned about her at all, and I'm not going to tinker with anything that's working as well as that's working. You know, stay out of her head and let her do her thing.
I noticed she and Lexi get together a lot more. Was there like a calming presence with the both of them kind of figuring it out, you know, a third of the way through the season?
Yeah, they've gotten close. You know, coming in, you come in, you end up roommates with somebody you don't know all that well, and it takes time, and they've really gelled as friends, and have gotten very close, and are very supportive of one another. And you hear it in our Monday meetings, the growth that all of our team has seen from the two of them. So they're very tight, but they're also the kind of kids that are very supportive of their teammates, and they're communicating that more, and they're engaging more with the upperclassmen, and not just with each other. And it's just part of the natural growth. If it goes the way you want it, that's what you want it to look like. You want them to, you know, start to really kind of come together, and those two have, and it extends far beyond just the two of them.
And then just to the point, like you said, senior day, do you feel like you've crossed the hurdle now and you can finish the season? Like, what is your mindset, I guess, going into Auburn?
Man, you know my mindset. Every week's a hurdle. Every day we walk in the gym and I get news from our trainer that somebody's sick or somebody's got to go to the doctor for this, that, or the other thing. And I am a work in progress as a coach because I still want to try and control every outcome and I reach a point and I'm getting better about it. It's just let it go and try to practice what you preach, control what you can control, and so I don't know what tomorrow brings. Cobble, we're in a good place, and I'm pleased with what they've done so far. But we still got 5 weeks, something like that left, and if it all goes well, we have that many weeks, and so I'm not going to take anything for granted. We need to just stay the course and continue to try to improve, and that's what we're going to do.
How much do you prepare them for Auburn, a place that is a little notorious for their fan behavior, I guess, and how much has maybe some of the early stuff in this season prepared them for that?
Well, I think there's a lot of places that are raucous, in our conference, and we've been to a couple of them, several of them this year, and Auburn has a lively environment, typically, and it's fun, and when you know you're going into places like that, you should embrace it and have fun with it and engage with it and enjoy it to the best of your ability. That's what you want. I mean, you want to compete in environments that test you. It makes you better, and that's why the conference is as strong as it is. We've got this format right now where there's a lot of drama over who's in and who's out for the SEC championship right now, and it's unfortunate that we have 9 teams and only 1 is not going to make it, and maybe we need to revisit that. I don't know, but because it's kind of amazing to me you can be in the top 15 in the country and not make your conference championship, and I in the interest of fairness, I think it probably warrants more conversation to see if we can't figure out a different way. And we've gone through it, but I just I'm proud. I bring that up because I'm proud of this conference. I think we push each other so hard, and there's so many. There's not a team in this conference that is not getting it done now, and it's cool because the environments are great, the product is great, the performance is great, the coaching is at a high level, so it's a privilege to be a part of this conference, and I can't. It's easy to whine and complain about things, but again, I'm kind of in a place over the last few days where I've just been pausing and going, man, we should be grateful for so much, and that's part of it.
Doesn't seem like it would be too big a ask to do a play-in meet between the 8th and 9th place teams.
We talked about that, but then you're talking about an additional day, from wear and tear.
But they're doing it in regionals now.
Yeah, and that's NCAA. I think the SEC focus has to be on how do we best prepare our teams to move into the NCAA postseason. And if we do something that potentially harms their ability to perform at a high level, that's not a good scenario. They did talk about doing a 5-team session in the afternoon, but then TV gets involved with that, and that's not ideal because you're building in buys, which we worked hard to get rid of. I don't know. There's not a perfect solution to it. But at the same time, you hate for one team to feel alienated or isolated for being 15th in the country, or whatever they are. That just
Arkansas
seems,
16.
it seems ridiculous that.
Last.
So it's a little more complicated than it seems, but maybe we'll find a better solution.
It's not easy with an odd number of teams. Got the chance to talk to Liv last week and talked about her knee injury. I know you're not the team doctor, but do you think there's time to possibly get her back?
It's about pain. It's about her pain. It's an unusual thing. I had to look it up. Like, I didn't even know what the retinaculum in your knee was. And and generally speaking, the little, she put it on social media, so it's okay, I guess, for me to talk about. The little avulsion fracture that she has, she and I were talking about it yesterday. That generally happens to people who have been in a car accident or some sort of blunt force trauma and she can't recall anything like that. It's an extremely unusual thing that she's dealing with, and it just hurts. She can force herself to function with it, but it's very painful, and trying to figure out how do we get her comfortable. So we shut her down and immobilized it and trying to get it to calm down. And I think there's been some progress, and I still remain cautiously optimistic that she could become available again, at least on bars. But it's just hard to say. I think we've got another follow-up this week, and just trying to monitor it and turn over every rock we can to try to get her place where she's comfortable. Because she started out the year in a really good spot for us, and contributed on 3 events, and was in many ways doing as much or more than she had done ever at any point in her career, as an old lady, so. But the thing about Liv is her attitude has been so good about it, and she's been staying engaged and supportive of her teammates, and not allowing it to sour her experience so much, at least outwardly. I'm sure it's not ideal in her mind, but she's done a great job of again, like we always talk about, embrace the role you find yourself in and be the best at it you can possibly be, and she's doing that.
I did just want to quickly touch on, if I'm not mistaken, Kalia was supposed to lead off on floor, but
Yeah.
then it switched to Kylie. What happened with that?
Kalia, Kalia came in with a rotator cuff situation as a freshman, and so we've been we didn't even start training Kalia really until like November, and it's just touch and go. It hurts, and it's got to get fixed, but she wanted to try and see if she could help this team this year, and obviously has. So she vaulted, and she felt like she couldn't get her arm back and didn't feel right, and it just didn't make sense to try to push her to do floor. So we're just trying to get it to calm back down again, and see if we can't get her ready for regionals or maybe SECs, but maybe not. I want to get her good and calm down before we do anything. And then when the season's over, the docs will get together and see how we get that corrected, so that hopefully we can get her pain-free next year.
You kind of touched on it, but I thought what you said was really right about these seniors. I guess, I know the question here, but the way they've navigated it, right? And kind of the pressure that they've borne. Is that the right word, Scott? Bared? I don't know.
Born.
Okay. Just the idea of what they've meant to you, and you probably said it on Friday, but just the idea that it was so gratifying, I think, watching them complete their performances on Friday night.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
Yeah. Probably not to the extent that everybody else does, because I'm trying to win a meet, and trying to take care of the business at hand. But I did feel a release at the end where, when we were taking the photos with their families and they were coming up, and I was able to give them, embrace them and say some things to them that I wanted to express to them about, how much they've meant to me personally and to the program as a whole. And, there is that emotional release that comes after a meet like that. I work very hard at trying to direct where that goes prior to, because I've seen teams kind of implode because of misplaced emotion, or at least being there too soon and not taking care of the business at hand. But our team did a great job. I said Friday, they had me wondering, at some point during the week, whether we were not making it too much of an emotional quagmire, but they did a great job, and they pulled the trigger and did what they needed to do. And then you just saw the tears flowing from the whole team, afterwards. They're such a huge part of our team. I mean, there's 10 of them in the assortment pack of seniors that we have. So that they've meant a lot, and not all of them have been in score sheets. I say that all the time, but to have those moments with they and their families is important, and so I'm glad we do it. But every year it tests my ability to stave off the distraction level.
Yeah, they're like all those little boxes of cereal in the multi-pack, right? You just, all kind of different.
Yeah.
Fourth, fifth, sixth,
Yeah,
whatever you want.
or the Lifesavers assorted thing.
Whatever you want.
Like, yeah.
I heard someone say Chase Brock could come back next year if she chose to, right?
Chase has a red shirt year based on the information I have. Yes.
All right, let's file that away. So back to Kalia. So you're probably going to hold her out of the lineup as a
I just don't
for Auburn.
I don't think it's in her best interest to try to go this week. We haven't even. I mean, we got in the gym a little bit yesterday. She didn't do anything at all yesterday, but we're not gonna push to try and get that thing. I mean, she's just it needs to calm down. And
Who might be a candidate?
well, Lexi's Ice would go in, or that's the likelihood is that Lexi would go.
Involved, you mean?
On vault and on floor. Kylie Cohen's kicking butt, man. She's gone twice, and she's gone 9.9 and 9.875. I mean, there's nothing to sneeze at. She has an amazing level of presentation out there on the floor. It's a different kind of routine than Kalia's. Kalia's got that big double layout, but Kylie really performs well and has massive leaps, and the judges are kind of drawn in by that. So I don't see that we have to force anything just yet. I think ultimately Kalia's vault and that starting routine of opening with that big double A is hard to beat. But we've got great options there.
If you would just kind of look at this coming weekend, not just for you, but for the whole SEC, you got teams that are trying to get their score to their average where they can be in the evening rotation, SECs, which is very important, or just get into SECs. Obviously one team's going to get left out, and then you guys are vying like Oklahoma for the regular season title or a share of it. Just talk about that whole thing. It's very interesting. It makes it exciting for a lot of people, dramatic. From your perspective, are you looking? Yeah, I think I know the answer. Are you looking more for the score, or would you take not the score you were happy with if you won the meet and you won the championship?
We want to win the meet. As I said a week or so ago, and I read something this morning, my morning constitution, walking around the house, and it sort of resonated with me, because I had said to you guys, and I've said to the team, you start a year and you get your floor and you get your kind of your baseline, and then every week you're trying to make these sort of generalized but large improvements as you go. And if you're doing things the right way as you go through the year, those improvements become more specific but less visible. Or less obvious, I should say. They become such sort of smaller steps through the year. I feel like that's where we are. I think our team's done a good job of answering whatever we've requested of them so far as we've gone. I think about the Kentucky meet, where I really kind of challenged them to make sure that their performance quality on the road matched what they had been doing. They did that, and the score didn't necessarily reflect it, but they did that, and they won the meet. And I think for the most part we've done a good job since Arkansas of being measured in that way, and then understanding that now we're at a place where we're really just trying to get some fine details, because the better you get, the harder it is to improve. Does that make sense? So you look for smaller increments in things that you're doing. So for me, I think we're in a good place. I don't know. I have no idea what the outcome of this week or any week's going to be. That's why you play. That's why you compete. But I feel good about what we've done. So we want to go over there and win the meet. Certainly, we're not dismissive of any of the things that we set out as our goals from the beginning of the year.
I think that being said, you lost at Auburn 2 years ago. So what does that fine tuning look like? What's it going to look like?
2 years ago, I was calling us Cinderella in a wheelchair, and we were fighting for our lives. And if you go back and look at where we were, I think KJ was fifth on vault, and we were we were a shadow of where we are now. So I don't really draw anything from that. That team will always go down in my mind, in my career, as one of the top 2 or 3 experiences of my entire career because of the way they fought so hard. They had no business late in the year that year thinking that they could get to finals, and they did it. And so I don't compare year to year that way. I think each year can be an extension of another year, but it really is not something that you look side by side and go, well, this experience was this way last time, so what is it going to be like this time? Completely different personnel, completely different team, completely different mindset now. There's a lot that's happened in this program since the last time we were over there. So that's not a guarantee of an outcome, but it by any stretch of the imagination. Auburn's a good team, and Auburn has a great environment, and Auburn's in this league, and they are not the program they were 2 years ago either. I mean, everybody, is in everybody's growing and moving in the right direction in this league, and so it's hard for me to really answer that with any kind of quantitative ability to compare. Thank you, guys. But the little avulsion fracture that she has, she and I were talking about it yesterday, that generally